Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode number 118. The date is the 3rd of February, 2025, and I'm your host, Sam Patrick, with, as always, my co-host, Johann. Johann, how do you feel about surviving January and actually getting through with it and getting to the other side? How are you feeling?
New year, new me, all of that jazz. Very much a new year feeling. That I don't think as accountants and bookkeepers we get to have that feeling really at the start of January, do we?
No.
Like we don't. Like where everyone else is buzzing about, I'm going to go to the gym. It's going to be my healthiest year, or I'm going to put so much money away in my savings account this year. Whatever it is, we just don't really get that until the weekend just been and gone. So yeah, no, very pleased to have it over and done with. To be fair, easiest tax return season I've ever had. Didn't have to work the weekend before. On the last day, we had 2 tax returns to finish off, and we're just waiting for a little bit of information. They were majority done. It was all a bit casual and blasé to the point that I did so many different checks to make sure we'd not missed anybody. I was like, come on, this is ridiculous. I'm so comfortable. I'm uncomfortable right now. So yeah, it all good and just refreshed, ready to get on with it. I did a lot of process improvements and stuff over the weekend while it was fresh in my head. But yeah, no, thrilled to have January behind us. How about yourself?
Yeah, happy, joyful, everything. I think need the community to tell us how they've been celebrating their getting stuff done, getting everything.
Yes,
because
definitely.
I feel like you're right. Like there's been a big relief this year, and I think similar to yours, like we didn't have a bad January at all. It's been, we got on top of it. Everything was fine. Last week was actually the quietest week out of all of them, to be honest. We kind of done most of the work throughout the rest of the year, but still that relief, isn't it? Once it's over, that, and I'll be honest with you, I woke up on that Saturday going, what do I do now? I don't feel a bit lost.
I'm lost.
Yeah. And I think everyone feels the same, right? Because we just, we fixate on that date. And like you said, most of our problem is that fear of, have we missed someone? Was someone expecting us to do a tax return for them and we didn't tick the right box on Engage or whatever it's going to be, right? Because it's human error that comes into play. But
I did have someone turn up at 9 minutes past 10 the night before.
Oh, really?
On the 30th, saying 9 minutes past 10 at night, saying, here's all my stuff that we hadn't heard from this person all year. Ignored all of our emails, our WhatsApps, everything. So they got a stern email saying, if I get around to it, I get around to it. If I don't, I don't. She promptly emailed back around midday the next day saying, thanks, but don't worry, I've sorted it.
Oh,
so, off you go. This is not an issue for me. Off you go.
Exactly. Let's say hello to our community. And Natasha was there first. Good morning, Natasha. Hope you're well. Dave's there from shiny Mumbai. How are you? How's it going there? Last time I was in Mumbai, what was the place called that I went to?
Toilet, from what I remember you telling me.
Yeah, but there was one place in Mumbai that I absolutely loved. Smokehouse Deli. Let me know, Dave, if Smokehouse Deli is still in Mumbai. Susan's there. Good morning, all. Hope you are doing good, Susan. Cheryl's there. Good morning to Cheryl. Good morning to Kirsty. Good morning to Dave. Wasn't it nice that it was a weekend after end of January? What's that, sorry?
Sam, not Dave.
Oh, Sam, sorry. Sorry, Sam. Don't. Yeah, I'm actually going to a escape room on Saturday. Actually, I'm going to go do the Wallace and Gromit themed one in Bristol. So yeah,
that's quite a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah, maybe Sam was involved in that one. Cheryl says Barclays being down did not make a relaxing weekend. Yeah, that's one topic we didn't think about covering actually, didn't it? But that definitely hit the mainstream news. Few people very upset about that one, wasn't there? So
what's even more upsetting is how many reporters reported about the deadlines and stuff being impacted by Barclays inaccurately. There was an article in the Times about Barclays being down, and as part of it, there was a whole section about the fact that people are going to miss deadlines, they're going to get fines and stuff and so on and so forth. And it's like, A lot of this is wrong information, guys. Like,
Because it was Saturday, right, that it went down, was it?
Friday it went down.
It was Friday, was it? Oh.
I paid all my team Friday morning, and while my team still wasn't paid on Saturday because they're with Barclays.
Oh.
So I was like sending screenshots and stuff saying, I promise you I've paid you. Who are you banking with? Barclays. Read this article.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, what can you do? Because when it's a mainstream bank like that, you kind of feel almost like you shouldn't be affected by this, right? If you're a Revolut, Starling, everything else, it's kind of that risk you take on, isn't it? It's a challenger bank.
Yeah.
Then you maybe from time to time there'll be these issues. There's not been any that's been really reported, but could happen, right?
I mean, this is more of a this issue, from what I understand, has been caused by the fact that Barclays, Bank of Scotland are just as bad. Halifax, like they're just not investing in modern technology and updating their systems and hardware quick enough. And that's why these banks seem to be having constant IT outages, because the softwares, the hardwares is all archaic. They're not maintaining the investment they should be making, versus the challenger banks, who are obviously all new gear, and they're not having the reliability issues. I think until the big banks actually start replacing and finish replacing all their hardware with new tech, I think these issues are going to become bigger and bigger and more frequent.
Yeah. And you can tell that just by the onboarding process, right? Like we've seen it time and time again. You try and get a client onboarded with one of the high street banks. Yes, they've got all the rigorous checks and everything else, but mostly it's just the archaic way of just getting them signed in, right? Like,
yeah.
HSBC drive me up the wall, the amount of stuff I have to go through, the letters I have to fill out, and with pen as well, like a wet pen of I got to fill this form out to send to this person, and that form comes to this, and then it's absolutely archaic, isn't it? Whereas on Tide, I can set up a new company and a new bank account within 15 minutes, is it? Like start to finish, you've got company up and running, you've got a bank account up and running, and off to the races you go. So,
and that's it. And that's one of the biggest parts that bugs me about it is like HSBC and NatWest and stuff. They send out the account code and the sort code and the post and stuff, whereas gives it to you there and then. So actually, in today's world, we can do the majority of what we need with a new bank account just with an account code and sort code, and then the bank card can turn up when it turns up.
Yeah, and don't get me started on those authentication card machine things that Jesus.
Yeah.
I've got a whole drawer full of them still, just in case that, for whatever reason it's needed. Yeah, absolute nightmare, isn't it? Dave says that he's having a great time with work and life balance. That's what we like to hear, Dave. You keep enjoying yourself out there. Carl Beeson says, good morning, Carl. And Cheryl says, I had a client who couldn't make payroll payments until Saturday lunchtime. Ouch. That's painful, isn't it? And you couldn't pay your tax bills or anything, could you? So yeah, it's in fact, I went above and beyond. I went for my haircut on Saturday, and the hairdresser that I was doing also was a client, and he was passed his phone over to me and asked me to make the payment to HMRC for him. So didn't expect that when I went to get a haircut, but anyway, I did.
Did you get a discount on the haircut?
I know, right? I know. I also explained to him that at the end of the day, he was a day behind, but I'm sure it'll be all right. Good morning to the people from Instagram. As always, we can't actually bring you up, but good morning to Julie. Good morning to Jack, the AI bookkeeper as well. So I hope you are all having a good time. Right, let's go to the first topic then. I thought we'd do share some stories. I mean, you've always shared one of your stories of someone there, but I thought I'd share one of mine just so people can feel a little bit like, hopefully they feel like they've got the same sort of issue and you're not alone.
We all have them.
Exactly. So this particular client I spoke to in March at an event, at a face-to-face event. I was on stage talking about, it was a reselling summit about eBay and Amazon and how to account for it and all that sort of stuff, and tax tips and all that sort of stuff. And this particular client came up to me afterwards like, you know what? Really love what you said there, and I really resonated with getting myself a limited company because she was a high rate taxpayer. I was like, oh no, brilliant, yeah, let's have a chat with you. So we all chatted to them, we spoke to them and everything else, and wonderful solution that I used for sending out fees meant it was all broken down for her. So she got the fee over to her and she looked at this fee structure and she was like, happy with majority of this bookkeeping thing though, I feel like I can do it myself. Absolutely, that seems like that sort of thing. In fact, we've all been there, right? She even said those fable words to me, and said that she finds it relaxing doing her own bookkeeping, and she feels like she's happy to be on top of it. We've all got those clients, right, where they tell you one thing to try and justify the fact that basically they just didn't want to pay that
I've
extra.
not had anyone say it's a form of therapy before, but okay.
I get it all the time. I don't. Maybe it's just the way that they come through. Anyway, so we set her up with a license. She went off and did anything, and we basically said to her for a sole trader period that was just about to come up, because this was March time, get in contact with us really soon, and we'll get that bit done for you, because it was only a small period. We'll be fine. Like just pass it over to us. The limited company is going to be absolutely fine. We'll run that through. Anyway, kept messaging. Then we got to January. Now it's getting a bit worrying that she's not sent anything in at this point. She's all onboarded. Everything else is fine. She's paying her bills. Everything's happy. But this sole trader period never sent through. Anyway, finally got to have a conversation with her, talk to her. What's going on? Like, why are you not sending the stuff? Are you doing it yourself this time? That's absolutely fine, but we just need to know. Oh yeah, I just didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, and there's all this stuff that was just telling us. Anyway, in the end, this was the 30th of January that she finally sent the stuff through, because she said, "Oh, without fail, I'm going to keep sending it. Without fail, I'm going to keep sending it." She sends through 24 bank statements, because she had 2 of them, so that's red flag number 1. All in PDF originally on the 30th of January. Between each of these 24 was around about half an hour delay. She was sending them individually via email, because she couldn't upload it to Engager, because apparently there was an error. Then when we asked for CSV files, they took another half an hour per each one, coming in piecemeal, coming through. One of these particular file of bank statements, because it was a Chase account that had all these things, was 27 pages long. She wanted this she was in tears at one point about getting this turned around in 24 hours. But we did it. We got it done for her. We got that over and sorted. But these clients are out there. And that was like one of the most... I just remember during the 30th, and I just kind of logged in, looked at the thing, and like you could see these half an hour increments of one statement coming through, and then another statement coming through. And then in hindsight, we should have used analytics, right? Like that would have, solved our issue, no problem whatsoever. Yes. But yeah, I thought we'd share that story of 30th, like literally 30th of January, getting these 24 bank statements, with one of them having thousands, and there was I think there was something like 3,000 transactions that we had to get done. Didn't actually take all that much time once we got it down and got through it and everything else. But yeah. How do you doesn't matter what technology you got in the world, doesn't matter what everything else.
You're just going to have someone that puts their head in the sand.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then they're the person that they turn up and go, right, here's my information. 20 minutes later, is that no. In a word, no. So yeah, it's always with them, and all you can do is keep flushing them out, get rid of them, or try and improve them. Yeah,
they've actually a really nice client, and I don't want to get rid of them. I don't feel like they just need that bit of education, don't they, and everything else. I mean, in fairness to her, while the team was stressing about the fact that they're waiting for these 24 bank statements to come through, she did start sending in a limited company bank statements as well, and decided that we're going to start doing a bookkeeping for her. We were obviously trying to get this 23-24 tax return done, and she's there May 24 statements go through when we're still missing some bits for the 23-24. So yeah, it was... I just thought I'd share that story as don't worry, I'm sure we've all had it. We're sure we're all there. And yeah, it's a funny old world that we live in, isn't it? And yeah, clients at the end of the day. Woohoo, that's insane. Great that you got it sorted, but hopefully your team get compensated for extra stressful workload. Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was just the fact that half an hour after half an hour after half an hour, one statement's come through. Go for it.
It's clients like that though, that need people's help like yours on the in the last part of the tax return period. So when you've got, excuse my French, but bloody idiots on LinkedIn telling us all we're half decent accountants because we're not even half decent accountants because we're doing tax returns so late. Our clients or potential clients out there need support. Like, I don't make any promises that we're going to file on time if it comes in that late.
Yeah.
But we will do everything
We'll try
we
your
can.
best, right? Yeah, exactly.
But we
And that's what
certainly
we can do.
don't get jumped up on our own little egos and decide to be decisive against the whole industry and all the clients that are a bit behind on in that person's opinion. Like, I'm starting to get really fed up with certain people in this industry and their attitudes, but we have to remember we are in a service industry. If we do not provide the service to a level that meets the client's requirements, we aren't going to get the business. Like, and yes, you've had this one painful part, but the infinite gain concept now is actually in doing all of this, you've now picked up her bookkeeping, and you've got management account, you've got the limited company's accounts and all that stuff going through. So actually, it's going to be so much easier. But if you'd said no to this one little bit, you wouldn't have got all of that infinite gain, and who knows how much that client's going to be worth to you in the future. Who knows how much that person's going to refer you and recommend you.
And sometimes
you wouldn't have any of that if you said no to the tax return because it was a bit close to the line.
Exactly. And sometimes it's a bit of tough love as well, isn't it? Because they wouldn't have understood what the value of that bookkeeping was if it was just, turn around with no issue, no problem. But the fact that we did get it done for them, they saw the report of how many transactions there were and all the things that we'd done for them and everything else. Like, it just emphasized to them what it is. And I just feel for clients, like, because she was generally like in tears at one point because she was worried about missing this deadline and everything else, where in reality it's a couple £100 or whatever the fine is. But that's not the point, is it? It's the point that for some people it really is like super stressful. Like, she'd buried her head because she was worried about it. It was coming up, and even though she'd already got an accountant to do the hard work for, or quote unquote the tough bit for her, filing it, the fact that she was responsible for getting these books together was almost too much for her and everything else. And just felt for her, and it was one of those stories where we're always going to remember it as a firm, that one client who sent it in half an hour increments and literally waited for these half an hour bank statements to come through to do them there. So I thought we'd share that, kind of give people that opportunity to see. As Linda says here, that's an awesome win. The value has been realized by your client. Hopefully things will get easier. Exactly. And Cheryl says, but because we had done most of our tax returns, we're able to take on new clients. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like, this is the time where you can really make those clients that you make a difference with. They appreciate it so much that you're able to go out of the way, get it done for them, and turn around. And when we can onboard as quickly as we can onboard, thanks to great software, and we can get people to file with the software we've got, it just makes our life easier, doesn't it? Cool. All right. Next topic then, Johann. So, me and you both have accounting firms, right? And we both love having accounting firms. That's like one of our, love doing it. But I think we can both say as well, we love other aspects of our jobs, right? We both love the fact that we have other aspects that we can take away from our accounting firm, like this show right here, like Ask the Accountant. But if you had a gun to your head and like, what's your most enjoyable part of it? I'm going to assume, because it's probably similar to me, that it's your engager hat, supporting the community, going through and giving advice.
Depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, but you definitely get a big bit of satisfaction from that, right?
Definitely.
Like that, helping support. Same with me, right? The training side for me is by far, if I had to give up anything, if I give up everything and had only one of my hats left on, that's the hat I wouldn't want to give up. Like, that's the bit that gives me the most amount of joy, the most amount of satisfaction, whatever it's going to be. Now, we love AI. AI is one of the things we talk about a lot on this show, and it's one of these things that we definitely want to promote and push and want to give it. What if I told you, though, that both of our most exciting and most important or most satisfying aspects of our jobs is under threat from AI? So, they're coming after our most exciting bit. So for context, I've got a video coming out tomorrow on my weekly upload schedule, and this video is titled "AI is coming for my job" or something like that. I'm not quite decided what the final title is going to be. I'm tweaking it in the background. But ultimately, I was playing around with a really cool solution called Google AI Studio. And the idea of Google AI Studio is very similar to what you've already kind of talked about before, having that natural conversation with AI. Yeah. So you're asking the questions, it's talking back to you, and you're going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. The key bit to this one, though, is you have an option as well for it to read your screen. So you can share your screen with them and go through that way. So in the video, I shared my screen with QuickBooks, and I said, "Hey Google, talk to me. What's in front of me?" It was able to go through. Oh, you're looking at QuickBooks, and this is what you use QuickBooks for. Okay, I'm trying to reconcile my bank. What do I do? Oh, if you go over to here and click this, and from there, notice how it now says blah 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 blah, and notice how it now, and it's reading every aspect of the screen and talking through with you every step on how to fix whatever problem that you have. And none of this is like pre-scripted. It's not like Intuit's not gone through and like giving it a load of scripts or anything like that. It's literally taking the world of Google, the world of the internet. It's taking all of the AI goodness that it can, and it's looking at software, and it's walking through the end user exactly how to do X, Y, and Z. And again, in this video, it's a bit of a long one. I think it's 45 minutes, this full one, but we'll chop it down for social and all that lot. But you can see me going through, having a one-to-one conversation, just like me and you are now. But I'm asking it, how do I do this? What's this? How would I do that? Asking the same questions I've been asked time and time and time again. Like my video channel might as well be taken down at this point, right? The QuickBooks channel might as well be gone, because all the questions I get asked, I could ask this one AI, and it was able to go through. Okay, there was some bits where I was, you'll see in the video if you watch it, that I was a bit like, well, that's wrong. But I would say 80% of it, 100% accurate, 80% of it, exactly what it is. Talking about what VAT to worry about, talking about, don't, whatever you do, don't press this here because you could end up double counting. Try and think about doing it this way. And it was really cleverly in depth, and it was asking you and telling you what was on screen and going through from there. Honestly, like, we've seen a lot of good AI at the moment, and like stuff's blown us away. Reconciliation being one of the ones that I'm still massively impressed with, in the way that it was able to save time and everything else. But this idea that literally you can have a human conversation with this AI, and it's going to tell you how to use a piece of software, was absolutely amazing. Like, have you tried anything like that? Because I know OpenAI has a little bit like this, but it can't read the screen, can it yet?
No, I think it might be able to, but not in that way. I mean,
okay.
It's interesting. So you've positioned that at the start, like AI is coming after our jobs.
Obviously,
personally, I would go, actually, that tool, if all of the Engager users use that tool, we could repurpose all of that time to much higher value stuff like webinars, etc., thought leadership, etc., instead of explaining the power of the save button. I have lost many an hour explaining to people the concept that when you put data into a screen, you need to press save. One guy, it took me loads of attempts over 3 days, and he finally sunk in. But if I had like if I had this AI tool that allows you to go through and do this, like, there's only so much we can do as a software company in the form of support. Like, yes, we can do all these written guides. Yes, we can do all these how-to videos. Yes, we can do all these feature deep dives. Yes, worst case scenario, we can jump on a Teams call and go through it all with you. But if an AI can take and do a better job of that bit there, that lower level stuff, and leaves us to be able to talk about thought leadership, the bigger picture of having good workflows and phases and checklists in your place of work, etc., then actually we could add so much more value to our users if AI can do that more day-to-day, ad hoc, basic stuff. And having that kind of guide and question and answer thing live on your screen, I would argue, is a better solution than reading a written PDF or watching a YouTube video, pausing it, going to your screen, trying to find the stuff. And it's more of a natural flow to it. So actually, no, I really like the sound of this tool, and I can see huge benefits. That again, it's like with bookkeeping. Like, yes, AI is going to be able to help us increase our efficiency of bookkeeping, but it allows the bookkeeper to then spend more time doing higher value stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it sounds incredible. Where is it in the development stage? Is it beta testing? Is it? Yeah, it's live and ready to go. Right.
Which is the crazy bit, right? And for context, right, I'm tongue in cheek about taking our jobs, right? At the end of the video, that's exactly the same. We've both gone on the same thought process, right? If anything, it gives us an opportunity to go for that more higher value. If we're needed, like there's more high value, there's people will appreciate it more that we're helping them. So, you know, if there's a fee involved or whatever, we can have a premium fee or whatever it's going to be, right? It's justifying, isn't it? But you're right. Like the idea that bread and butter stuff can be done. And like you were saying there, it's not just that they don't have to read a PDF or they don't have to watch a video. This is putting it into context. Like the idea when one of my questions to him was, it's coming up with uncategorized. I was using the sample company. It's coming up with uncategorized expense here. Do you believe that's right? And he's like, no. This is a restaurant. No, you're looking for meals and entertainment. Probably the VAT is probably going to be 20%. Like it was putting context to that transaction and that thing. And it was reading that transaction for you and giving context and explaining why it was put in there. So yeah, it's out now. I share it on the video of how to do it, but you literally go to this AI studio. You go over to it, you basically activate it, say I want to share screen, and you jump in whatever screen you want to see. I've not tried anything else other than QuickBooks yet, so maybe Client Engager, maybe it's going to already know enough to bring it through, right?
I suppose it's
you broke up there, Jan, go for it.
Data on the internet for it to have learnt it. So our videos. I was just saying, it depends for Engage, whether it work with Engage or not. It's depending on the volume of data on the internet, I suppose, because like there's so much content, like the QuickBooks chat videos, the QuickBooks own content, etc. Whereas for Engager, there's a limited amount of content out there, so it'll be down to what it can find as to whether how useful it's going to be, I guess. But very, very clever bit of tech.
Yeah, and it was so natural as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had these conversations. We've all had it, haven't we, where we've like. I won't say the word, but the S word that Apple uses, right? You try and ask now, what's the weather going to be, for example, and it's a bit disjointed, right? You've got to really say, what is the weather for blah, blah, blah. And you've got to add the context. You've got to put it through there.
Yeah.
You'll see when on the video, if you watch it, like I was just, even I was making mistakes when I was asking the question. Oh, I don't mean that. Sorry. I meant blah, blah, blah. Right. And it was like, no worries. I get you. Right, I've got you. And it was just able to have this conversation with me, come straight back to me, put the content. And so, I don't know if it's free forever, but at the moment, I haven't paid a penny for this.
I was just going to ask, is this built into the premium £20 a month package? Is this just a free tool?
So at the moment, it's limited to 10 minutes, maybe. So you get to have that 10 minutes conversation, and then you have to reset if you want to start a new one. And I believe if you pay the premium, then you get to unlock that, and it'll be you could have a 2-hour conversation or whatever you want to be. So I believe that's where at the moment, the fee structure is going to come from. That could obviously change, but yeah, as it's kind of, they want to get people using it, playing around with it, that sort of stuff. Yeah, really cool. I was generally like blown away with how accurate it was, and it got stumbled over one bit where it didn't tell me to click something. I knew I had to click it, right? I knew I had to tick these boxes, and it was coming up, and when I clicked, it came up with an error message, and it got a bit confused there, and it kind of got into a bit of a loop. But you'd imagine that sort of thing, it's going to learn over time to go, right, well, I messed up with helping that person. Next time round, I need to tell that end user to tick that box before going there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's built in that ability to go next time round. I know what to do there and to make it better. So yeah, really, really, really impressive. And you know, software support, that sort of thing. If we could get this more of a built in, I think that's the thing. And I ended my video this time round of going, Google having it, amazing. Like just readily available, anyone can use any piece of software. But imagine Sage Copilot, imagine Intuit Assist.
Yep.
Imagine Jax. I can't imagine that, but someone out there might be able to, right? But just imagine those individual AIs built from the ground up to offer that element of it, where they know inside out that software. They know every aspect of how that software works. That will change the game when it comes to supporting and getting people trained up for the first time, offering support. Like, think about how you could implement that first experience. Like, it isn't just at the moment you very, very frequently you have those horrible UIs people get annoyed with, where it will click here and then click there and everything else.
It's imagine trying to teach the whole product on your first login instead of as you go through. You can't just go, oh, I now need to do this bit. It can't. It won't then go, oh, well, now you need to do this, this, and this.
Yeah. Or an error message pops up and that automatically comes in and goes, hey, you probably know what to do here, but if you're not, do you want a bit of context of why this error message and how you can prevent it? Like, that's where the future of this could go, right? Where it is reactive. It's that one user, they're stuck on this one, they've figured everything else out. Like, they've got this flow perfect. But like you were saying, like the saving of the instance and not being able to pass it. Well, that's when this could jump in and offer the support there and then, right? Like, generally blown away by it. Absolutely amazing.
Cool. You'll have to share the links so we can all have a look at that.
Yeah, I'll stick it on socials. But yeah, it's a very, very, very impressive piece of kit. And we've got to try more, right? We've got to see what else it can do. What else can it help us with going forward? What's the team saying, or the community saying? We've got Sonny says a question, actually. Morning, just a question on payroll. We use Bright Pay, but looking to move to either Buddy or Employment Hero. Just wanted to get your take, as we've had experience with both. Johann, go on. Johann, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So in my post on Saturday, and I've had a question on this a few times already. I posted my kind of every 4 to 6 month post saying this is what my tech stack is. And Employment Hero was listed as our payroll provider. So we have been looking at Buddy for the last months. Hero, after years of being with them and being very happy, was that they decided to pivot away from accountants and bookkeepers. They were going to do it all themselves and sell their own services for payroll. So we needed a backup in case they turned it off for us. They kept saying they weren't going to, but do we trust any of these softwares ultimately? No, we would be daft to not have a backup solution. So Buddy was going to be our backup solution. Employment Hero have now pivoted again with accountants and bookkeepers. From my and there's some bits that are doing a great job of building, but they're not quite there yet. Like employee onboarding, Employment Hero have a fantastic self-setup thing that we can't live without in my firm. Like, we're too big a firm to be onboarding every single client manually, every single employee of every single client manually, should I say. So we are still testing Buddy and we are still feeding back, but we're processing hundreds and hundreds of payrolls every month. And we're still not ready to move to Buddy full time. It's still there's not the efficiency we need for the size of our firm. If you're just starting out with payroll, and Buddy would be a fantastic solution for you. If you've only got a small payroll offering, Buddy will be a fantastic solution for you. But when you're running hundreds and hundreds of payrolls, like I think we do like nearly 700 pay slips a month. So yeah, it just wasn't a viable option for us to move all of those over to Buddy at this time. But if you're just starting out, if you're only running maybe 100, 200 pay slips a month, like there's huge firms out there that are running Buddy, but they have bigger staffing teams for payroll than we do. We've always run it on a very efficient basis because we didn't need it, because we had the tools to do it. So if you're going from one inefficient tool to a slightly more efficient tool, you're winning. Whereas we were going from a very efficient tool to a slightly less efficient tool compared to the one we had, we were going to lose. But we're still testing, we're still talking to Buddy, we're still feeding back, we're still helping them with the development as a firm, because long term, we can see them being a great solution for everybody. So
yeah, well put. I mean, come.
You're still with Employment Hero, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So we wanted to move to Buddy, but exactly those points you said there, like the onboarding of employees and items like that, just didn't work, and expense management and things like that. And I think ultimately, I only found Employment Hero because of you, right? Because you've got the stories of how you had to trundle through the snow that time and all them sort of things that kind of sold it to me back in the day. But for me, I like Employment Hero. I think it's a really good product. Like it by far, probably the most sophisticated on the market for our space, right? There's some bigger payroll platforms out there that can do even more, but the cost is obscene, right? I feel like my only downside for Employment Hero is this whole messaging thing, which is seemed to be flip-flopping of, do they even want accountants on the platform? Do they not? Like it seems to be very messy, right? And my other one is, and this is one we've definitely been burnt with, both me and you in the past, is it's being sold that dream, because it's still not a finished overall ecosystem product, right? I still feel Employment Hero's best aspect is the fact it's not just payroll, it's HR as well. But they're still not really properly talking to each other. There's still glitches here, and it's not quite that finished product. It's going to get there, and at some point it'll be an amazing product, no doubt. But as you know, quote unquote beta testers that we've been in the past with it and trying to kind of make it work for us, it's just been really frustrating, because we've even put the Employment Hero, the HR side, into our firm, into Bofix. Like sold that dream. It's going to help appraisals. It's going to help holiday management. It's going to help blah, 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 like tick, 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 tick. And in reality, it just didn't quite there. And what it needs a Employment Hero chap or chapette. You know, it needs someone out there who knows it inside out, doing videos, showing case and how it's gone. They've got an amazing onboarding team. They've got an amazing support team, but you still kind of get left to it, don't you? And when you're left to it, that's where mistakes, and when it's payroll and HR and stuff like that, you just can't afford to make those mistakes, right? It's too big an issue.
Who's going to be that Employment Hero chap or chapess whilst they're flip-flopping between messaging as to whether they do or don't want accountants and bookkeepers? Like, we need some actual formal clarity from Employment Hero just to confirm that they have scrapped that pivot and they are continuing. But really down to what size of firm you've got. Who Paul in the comments has said he's using FreshPay and it's been great for his firm. FreshPay got instantly ruled out for me because they didn't have timesheets. And I was promised back in March they were going to have timesheets in time for April or something, and it's still not there. So it's like, stop selling me a dream, sell me what's actually there. And ultimately, timesheets is vital for quite a lot of our larger employers.
And we've been burnt, right? So that's why we're
very cautious because of it. Yeah. And their pricing for my firm wasn't going to work. I think back when I last looked at it, it was very focused on, we're really cheap for director only payrolls. But then it was quite a lot more expensive for bigger payrolls. And we have a lot of big payrolls. So it wasn't going to work out as cost effective as others. But I do hear lots of positive feedback on FreshPay. So
100%. Just jumping in on Instagram chat, Nirajaj Hajai, hopefully I'm not butchering that name, asking the question, what platforms do we watch the podcast to ask questions? So if you jump on our Ask the Accountant YouTube channel, you can go and ask questions there, or both mine and Johann's LinkedIn is up and running as well, and there's a Facebook page and all that. But I would definitely recommend jumping on the YouTube channel. That's where a lot of these people are, and then the rest are kind of Instagram, LinkedIn as well. But yeah, unfortunately, I would love to highlight your question there and bring it up on screen like we are with everyone else, but yeah, we can't do that. And good morning to Rebecca J83 as well. I hope you are doing well over on Instagram. Anyone you're in on Instagram? Need to shout out?
Nope.
Well, remember, cool. Cheryl Stone says, I moved to Employment Hero for a medium-sized client just as Johan left. On the whole, I really like it and their customer service is good. Yeah, definitely. Employment Hero, really good customer service. You can tell they're a bigger firm, right? They've kind of got that set up and everything else. And you can tell they deal with really big, big clients and stuff like that. That's their bread and butter. And they're backed by some like really big elements as well, because they're huge in Australia, right? And they're kind of trying to find their feet over here. So yeah, we love Employment Hero. I think they're really good. Just a shame that the messaging's all a little bit all over the place, but hey ho, going from there. Stephanie says, good morning, gents. Sorry, I am late. And that's not just Stephanie, that is the new bookseller Stephanie as well. So if you've got you want to look out for her
bookseller.
Yeah, exactly. You know what that's like, right? Like
I do, yeah.
There's an exclusive
I was there for a few days.
Yeah, exclusive club. You and Steph can go off to your little club. I'm not invited to this one, so you go off and do what you want to enjoy your exclusive number one bookseller club. That's fine. But yeah. Hopefully, people have seen it on socials and everything. Go and get yourself a copy of Stephanie's new book. And then Sam says, will Engager introduce an AI help bot then? Question mark. Stunned into silence.
So we've already got one.
Go on.
So we've already got one. We've got one AI bot, as it were, which is in the live chat in the help center, which you ask a question, it will come up with the right articles and it will try and answer things using sections of articles. Mm-hmm. However, the issue with giving it, with us building, so we could go and use something like Google AI and let it see all the detail in the screens. My concern there is that Engager stores a lot of private data, and we need to be very conscious about data privacy and stuff like that. So third-party options probably isn't the most secure option. We take data privacy, etc., extraordinarily seriously, as we should, as every software should. But so the other option is then we try and train it out, build one ourselves. We don't have AI experts in our development team. AI, it may have a place in Engager in the long run, but it certainly doesn't in the next year or two, while we're still focusing on key features. AI is it's a nicety. It's not a necessity. And in most cases where I've seen AI implemented into practice management or any tools at the moment, it's not really bringing huge benefits. So like there's Carbon is a practice management over in the US and Australia and stuff, and they've got they're in the UK as well. They've got AI that rewrites your emails and your tone of email and stuff. It's like, well, what tool doesn't? But they've got a very cool AI tool which summarizes your client's history with you. So if I was about to go in to have a meeting with a client that I don't normally have a meeting with, I could ask it to summarize the last 6 months or give me a client history summary, and it would give me that, which will give me a bit of context to go into. As a concept, I really like that. But we're still focused on core features, and we're very conscious about data security and where it is and isn't, where that data is and isn't being going to. So if you decide to open Google Studio to look at Engager, that's your risk, as it were, because we don't know what Google's doing with that data and where it's going. So it's definitely worth plenty of research before you do it. But yeah, at some point, AI has always been discussed in Engager, but there's no plans at the moment.
But the beauty of it, we've already got tools that work perfectly well already, right? For me, Grammarly's already installed on the browser, so that rewriting and everything else of emails can be done through there. We use Microsoft Copilot, and we have Microsoft Copilot on our main email. So we're quite lucky in that we have that one email that goes in and out. So literally every correspondence with a client from an email form is already available to us, and we can jump in using Teams. You can switch between your own personal straight into the main one, and I can do a summary straight away. I can if I have a meeting with a team with a client, it'll be recording Teams, and I'll copy and paste that AI summary straight in. So I feel like majority of what the fluffy bits of AI, if you like, or the bits that just really,
The lower
just help.
value.
Yeah, I feel like we can achieve that without having to have an increase in our cost of client engage, or have to go off and, instead of providing us with the 64.8 access or whatever next step of whatever's next on the line of the development roadmap, so you being taken away from that and start building this AI thing for, just to stay relevant almost. I feel like we can achieve that with the tools we've already got. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the beauty of it, right? If we're in a position where it was vital and we couldn't get that anywhere else, that really should be the priority in the development cycle, shouldn't it? It should be something that everyone's going to get benefit from, and you can't physically replicate this elsewhere. So that's the ones that we should be bringing up, not just replicating something that, let's be honest, Microsoft is spending trillions of pounds on at this point in time. Like, when no one's going to compete on the Copilot, are they?
No. And the other thing is, like, interestingly, when you look at all of the hundreds and hundreds of ideas on our ideas list that our users put forward, AI is not mentioned once.
No.
Like, the only time AI is really mentioned actually in development is because we're mentioning it as a team that delivers Engager. Like, it's of interest to us as a team. No one's putting AI on the ideas list, which I think says a lot as well about the relevance of AI in practice management.
Yeah. I mean, there will be some aspects of it that, like the training side of things, that would be cool, but I just don't. I think there's definitely bigger fish to look at the moment as that, and we've seen history's shown that, right? There are solutions now that are not with us because they put all their eggs into an AI basket and couldn't deliver on it, and they sank because of it, and we can't afford that to happen, can we? With any software at this point in time, AI is such a buzzword at the moment, but that doesn't mean that we have to, every piece of software has to stop development and just start putting there. So yeah, interesting world we live in with that one. What time are we on? Oh, we've got enough time for this one. Let's just quickly, because we spoke about payroll anyway, and probably the reason why we're struggling to find a solution that can deliver elements to us all the time, that all these cool features like timesheet integrations and client onboard and all that lot, is because most of the time, from a compliance point of view, they have to spend most of their resources, most of their budget, most of their roadmap is keeping compliance, right? And one of the ones was this whole payroll hours issue and having to report real time what hours were being done and everything else. Well, most of the solutions have already started that process, mapping it all out, figuring out what's needed, going back and forth, trying to figure out a UI and all that sort of stuff. How are we going to implement it? How are we going to make it easy? And now HMRC's gone and done a U-turn on it. So good in the fact that they can probably cease development for a bit, but it's just that MTD all over again, isn't it? Like, they're just burning the relationships with these vendors because they're constantly having to keep on top of these things. I mean, this is the first year they're going to have to worry about no P11Ds, aren't they? Like, P11D is not going to be a thing. They're going to have to figure out how that's going to be put into payroll. Like, it's from a payroll solution and vendor, it must be absolute nightmare for them, surely. And Johann stunned into silence because...
Sorry.
Start again. Go for it.
So the plan was that in theory, from an accountant's and bookkeeper's end, this didn't actually require any work at all, because we're already probably putting in the number of hours someone's working to calculate their wage. So technically, it was just taking that information, putting it down the API to HMRC, so HMRC can see that people are being paid above minimum wage. That's what they were interested in.
Yeah.
But now they've turned around and said, actually, we're not going to take that. It's too... So they've basically said, after consultation, it's going to be too burdensome for administrating this process. The only people that this was going to be too painful for was people that are HMRC themselves, because their free PayYE tool was never going to be relaunched in time for that.
Nope.
But B, people that are using desktop softwares. Like that was going to take a huge update to do that. Whereas if you're using cloud technology and you're putting the right information in anyway, then it was never going to be an issue for us. But again, the forward-thinking cloud technology softwares out there have been building away for this, and now it's just been shelved. So all of that investment and time's gone when they could have been doing something more impactful for our clients and for us as a firm to make our workflows even more efficient. But yeah, so that's scrapped, back on the shelf, which tells me they'll probably bring it off the shelf in a couple of years. I think they've got better technology to do it with or something. But for now,
Yeah,
I'm back.
You're back. Cool. Yeah, I just feel like this is the sort of thing where we never get a good experience out of this because it's like MTD all over again, right? The problem we have with MTD is because it keeps flipping around and we keep going for this date to that date and then it's this one and everything else, is the vendors were at the beginning all in on it. So they came up with these great ideas. They were looking at ways in which you could check your status of it, and they were going to do error checkers, and they were got all these great ideas for us to ultimately mean that there was a value added to this solution. It wasn't just a press a button and off it went. It was let's check the data before it went, and they were incentivized for giving us some really cool features to make it worthwhile for us to implement this for our clients and for the clients to use it themselves, right? And this is this all over again, because when it first came out, surely a lot of the vendors out there were going, right, how do we make this so maybe it's already there, but how do we make it so it's a good experience for everyone, and we can make it worthwhile, and it doesn't degrade from the current experience, or they were having those conversations, and there was probably quite a big positivity around it to begin with. That this is a positive thing because it's going to force people off the PAYE tool onto software, so we should get an upload and all this, and it starts with this positivity. But when HMRC are so flippant and they keep changing the goalposts and moving things around, all they end up doing is just damaging those relationships, and they get less incentivized to offer anything that's going to they may bring this back in a couple of years time, it might come off the shelf, but I'd imagine most of the work they've already done is going to be obsolete at that point, and they're going to have to start from day one, right? They're going to start from that chalkboard again, and it's just so frustrating, isn't it? Like, why can't we just stick the landing to these things, even if it was just let's do it as a soft launch for now, and let's see how it goes from there. Surely that's a better solution overall than just scrapping it altogether.
Yeah, they seem to have this habit of coming out and mandating dates and saying this will be implemented by this date.
Yeah.
But to start that process off, we're going to now consult with the industry. Oh, it's going to be quite challenging, is it? Oh dear. Right. We'll think about it. Right. We're now going to scrap it a couple of months before it's due to come in. It's like, all right, if you'd consulted properly, deliberated properly, consulted again, and then went out and set a date, and you guaranteed, no, this is happening now, then fine.
Yeah.
But they do it so backwards, and it's so time consuming for everybody involved. But yeah, who knows? You can't tell these people how to run a government organization.
Because we've said this many times, already so complicated for the payroll solutions, right? Just keeping on the compliance as it is, like having to every year updates and mid-year updates as well, right? Like they're constantly being bombarded with these changes, and this is more. I can imagine this is going to cause more frustration for those things because they've wasted all of that development time and everything else, and it's just been reversed. So what can you do? And that's why we're in a state where there is only a couple of recommendations for payroll solutions out there, because there's only a couple of them who can afford to keep on top of this sort of stuff and everything else, right? The fact that go for it.
When you've got startup softwares, like if Engager was in the payroll market, we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff we do because we'd be so busy with compliance, like you said.
Yeah.
But actually, it would only take a few of those hits of us spending all that time to develop a tool that we no longer need before we have to become financially unviable. Like, there's a reason that, there's not much choice out there, because most of them, like we've seen several of them close down this year already.
Yeah.
Because they can't get the market share, and they can't develop the nice to have features because they're too busy trying to keep up with HMRC compliance, which then changes last minute. Like, I've been asked in the past, like, would Engage accountants into accounts, would they go into tax? Like, no, just no. Like, the size you have to be to make that a viable business is phenomenal.
And sometimes even the size doesn't mean a product that's worth its weight in gold, right? Like we've seen that. We've got so many examples of big organizations throwing millions and millions of pounds into it, and a solution that's not even as viable as what we already have, right? So tricky. Right, I think that's it for today, isn't it? I think the other topics we've got probably a bit too more meaty to get on with. So yeah, and what have you got planned for the week? Is it a nice quiet week? Are you just going to sit back and relax now that January's over, or have you got a week of preparation going your way? How's it going?
Today I am inducting a new client manager, so I'm on training for a new team member today for my firm, and then just catching up with stuff. I've got a webinar we're doing for Engager for mastering your pricing in 2025. So there's about 200 people signed up for that already. So that's going to be another big one where we'll go through different things to consider when you're pricing, things that you want to put in your letter of engagement to make sure you have the right to increase your pricing just in line with inflation, if nothing else. We're going to touch on MTD IT pricing and some research we've done on that. So yeah, it should be a good webinar. So that's 10 o'clock on Thursday. There's links on my socials, links on the Engager's socials, etc. if you want to sign up to that. But yeah, it's non-Engager specific. It's just, in theory, you should be able to take what we're discussing and put into any pricing tool, in theory. But yeah, so yeah, a few webinars, bit of training, a few client meetings, but nothing overly major or exciting. Your end?
I'm actually, keep my job relevant, I'm going to a client's to do some on-site QuickBooks training because AI can't do that. So yeah, off to Manchester to do a bit of training. QuickBooks Advanced for the first time. Finally, think I finally sold one. Finally sold a QuickBooks Advanced license.
It's only taken 3 years.
Wait, where's that reactions thing gone? And there we have it. Finally sold QuickBooks Advanced license. So yeah. But yeah, should be a good one. And then it is process. Like, what it's like. It's just trying to figure out how to make sure that we go forward in the right way. So looking forward to it. And I've got a list as long as my arm for February tasks that we put off, as you know what it's like for January. But that's it.
All too well.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for coming along and talking or listening to us talk and coming into the channels and asking your questions. It's been great to see you all. There's been quite a few of you asking questions in there, so it's great to see. We will see you again at the same time, same place for next week, where we're up to 100 and whatever number we're up to now. Is it
119?
119. Whoa, 119. So as Dave says, have a great week. And we will see you all this time next week. So it's a bye from me.
And goodbye from me.
With that nice robotic delay. We'll see you all next week. Bye for now.